Hello everyone. Once again I'm gonna make a video about a bunch of anime I have watched. So I'm just gonna basically go down a list because pretty much everything except for the first thing I'm gonna talk about is available on Crunchyroll. So I just watched it all on Crunchyroll. But the first thing I'm gonna talk about is something that's not available on Crunchyroll, at least not right now, called Lovely Complex. Now, the first video that I've ever did where I was talking about anime, me, the first one that I did was about Toradora and My Love Story. Combine those two, and you basically get Lovely Complex. It's a story about two people don't really like each other, but they try to help each other find, love with the people that they think they want to be with, but ends up that they fall in love with each other. What is, I guess, different, more or less, for Lovely Complex in that arc is that girl's pretty tall, guy's pretty short. So they have that thing. They have a sort of comedy dynamic with each other, which everybody, like, they get a nickname because of it. And it kind of puts, like, the whole idea that they can't really be together in their heads, so they don't even really consider it at first. But that slowly wears over time and changes. Now, why I'm saying this is sort of like My Love Story is that it doesn't take the entirety of the show to get to the point where they're actually talking about their emotions for each other. That's not this one. This one's actually different in that regard, as I believe it took it to, I don't know. Like, I know that early on, one of them is admitting their emotions. I remember that distinctly, but it does take a while for both of them to get on the same page, and it does lag a little in that regard. But I believe there's like maybe 6 or 7 episodes like left at the series when they finally get together, and then that's basically them working on their relationship as a couple. And I greatly appreciate when they give us something a bit extra. Like, don't just give us the moment where they're all happy and stuff. Give us the additional stuff, because a relationship isn't just, you know, getting together. There's the stuff after the getting together. So that's an interesting bit. The next one I'm going to talk about is called Recovery of an MMO Junkie. This one is currently on episode 6 at the time I'm recording this, and it does come through Crunchyroll. It's one of their simulcasts. So during this season, it's playing. This one, very interesting, because it is about a 30-year-old woman who has basically decided to become a NEET, which in Japan is like somebody who's unemployed and isn't in college or getting an education in any way. They're just, I guess, quote unquote bum, but she like chose the life. So it's interesting. I have no idea how it's sustainable, but I guess I suspend my disbelief, and she's somehow saved enough to do this. But yeah, so why it's an MMO junkie part is she decides to play a MMO, whatever, Japanese MMO, I don't know, it's a generic one. So, and she meets somebody online, and here's the thing, she's pretending to be the guy. So when she's talking to this person, she just assumes the gender, and so on and so forth. It rolls out from there. This is only on episode 6 right now, and so far I really like this series. It's really nice and refreshing to have something that isn't a school setting and has adults, like adults dealing with situations. So that's really nice to have those two things, because in general, whenever you talk about rom-coms, it's normally set in a high school, and it's normally, about high school kids. That's pretty much the general line there. But this one's very refreshing that it's not doing that. It's not doing what I really like, which is people find out they have emotions for each other and move on from that. It hasn't done that yet, but then again, it's only 6 episodes in, and in anime, it takes a long time for this to happen. There's only a very few number that actually changes that. Next one I'm going to talk about is one that I'm kind of disappointed with, and it's Monthly Girls Nausicaa. I really have no idea how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. But yeah, this one, it's about a girl likes a guy. Guy's actually a not sure exactly what the it's like a manga artist, but it's like love manga, I guess, where it's all about the romance and stuff. But the way she introduces herself and how she feels to this guy is that she's been a fan, and that basically makes the guy misunderstand her feelings and think that she's just a fan. So he signs an autograph and also on and so forth. So she continues to try to get like closer to the dude and ends up getting wrapped up in his manga stuff. And then she slowly finds out, hey, all these additional people are also there. Reason I'm disappointed with this one. Now, I don't know if there's an additional season or not for this. If there is, cool. But as it currently stands, it is pretty much all set up with no payoff. Like, there's a bunch of characters' relationships that are very interesting, and I definitely love to see a dynamic and some actual payoff for, but that doesn't exist right now. I do see this one on a lot of lists as, you know, a really good rom com anime, but there's hardly any actual romance. So it's more or less just comedy. And that's a bit of a disappointment. At least for me. I really wish that they would do something more. I hope that this gets a season 2 and they actually start paying off all these relationships that they've set off. But right now, I don't think it's really that good without that. Next thing I'm going to talk about is another one that I'm kind of disappointed with. I get the joke with this one, but then again, you all know that I'm not very big on fan service, especially if it doesn't feel right, if the fan service isn't properly done. Because, like, I can get the joke, like, Kill la Kill, I think is pretty fucking funny the way it does its fan service because it's extremely over the top. But this show doesn't match it in that sense, so it just feels like, you know, it's trying to quarter in, hit that demographic, pin, and all that stuff, and I hate that. I hate it when people just try to fill in a demographic. But it is called Konosuma, which is basically dude dies at the start, the main dude dies, and the main girl, who's apparently a god, offers him a deal to let him go to another world. Well, he decides, since she decides to be, you know, super rude to him, he makes the wish, because he gets a special wish, is to bring her along. Well, then shenanigans ensue, because she gets sent to the other world with him, and then they just go around doing fantasy adventure stuff, which is pretty much this entire thing. They meet a bunch of characters. They all have ridiculous flaws. I feel like there could be so much done here. Like, they don't really develop the characters that much in this at all. But this story does progress and go somewhere. Although it's not really anywhere I'd care to go myself. Ultimately, it's not rom-com. It's definitely just comedy. Because I haven't seen an ounce of anything romantic in this. It's just a bunch of funny situations. And that's about it for this one. Like, I can't really say I like it, but I can't say I hated it. It's kind of like in the middle. I'm indifferent to it, and that's partially because they don't really do enough. Not to garner my attention, at least. The next one that I'm talking about, though, whoo, boy! This one is gonna give Toradora a run for their money. At least it is for me right now. This is definitely one of my upper echelon of anime. It's called ReZero, Starting Life in Another World. Oh boy. This pretty much is the same concept as Konosuma, except done way more seriously. Actually has elements of romance, has elements of horror too, and is just a way better story overall. So we got our main guy. Doesn't die, but gets transported into a fantasy world. Finds a girl. And this is kind of spoilery, but it's the entire dynamic of the show. He tries to save this girl, he fails, he dies. However, upon his death, the world resets, and he gets to try again. It's basically a save state reset for him. He can save scum the world pretty much. He dies, he resets. He dies, he resets. And that's the basic dynamic of the show, is that he dies until he figures out what he needs to do. And then he solves the problem. Currently, this is 25 episodes. It does get to the point of rom-com where there's the confession. It gets there. It's good. The build up to it is great. The storyline is great. The characters are good. All the different dynamics that he tries and fails and tries again, it really feels. You feel for everyone here. As of September 9th, 2017, an announcement was made on the official YouTube channel for this anime that they are working on something more. No details at this time have been given, but it could be another season, could be a movie, could be a one-off episode. There is more coming for this one, at least. So, even though where it ends may not be someplace that I want everything to end, kind of like how I didn't want Toradora to end where it did, it does, this one at least, may have something more. Again, some of these may have light novels that go further, but I judge things by the anime, not the light novels. If I was judging an anime by the light novel that it came from, then it would be like, oh, this light novel has all this stuff happening, which is what I think is going on with Monthly Girl, which is why so many people rate that one so high, is that they have read the light novel and like the light novel, but so on and so forth. I definitely recommend Re:Zero. It's really good. It is really good. Again, like most of the stuff I recommend, except for when I'm specifically saying that I'm not very fond of it. But most of the stuff I'm saying here will probably be a recommendation unless I really didn't like it that much or I was indifferent. The next one is one that I don't really like, and it's mostly because it feels immensely exploitative in its fan service. Like, heavily. And not to mention Universal Studios is involved with this one, so Comcast. So you can imagine that this one is really not one you want to really get into, and it's kind of meh. It's a short one. It's only got 12 episodes, so there's not a lot to it. And it's called And You Thought There Is Never a Girl Online. Boy, that's a mouthful. I can only imagine what the Japanese is. But it's basically about a dude in a guild in an online MMO game. They decide to have a live meetup. What are the chances that every single girl is in his school and every member of his guild is a girl, and they all live close enough that they can have this meetup? What are the chances? Suspend your disbelief. Oh my god. And here's another thing. The girl that he married in game, because she just constantly pushed him, thinks the marriage is actually binding outside the game. She cannot tell the difference between reality and fantasy. So that's the basic idea of this one and how it carries itself. But again, like, here's the thing. 2 of the female characters play male characters in the game. However, as soon as it's revealed that they are in fact females, we no longer see the male avatars. They just change into female avatars. Because it's like he just sees them now as the females that he knows. And it's like, okay, well, now it's just completely, you're just like, I just don't really like this one. It's not that I dislike the characters. I dislike how goddamn exploitative the fan service in this one is. It is immensely exploitative. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel earned. It doesn't feel good. It's undeserved. And I feel like they also fail to really develop the characters very well and develop anything greater. Like, for one, they make a club. They make a club in school. Again, there's just so much you have to suspend your disbelief in this. It makes it super goddamn hard. They make a club about playing video games in school, and somehow, like, I don't know if the main girl, or not the main girl, but the smart president girl, yeah, one of the girls is apparently the student council president, was able to make this club. And also another, like, there's just so much I can't, like, if you want to see this thing, okay, but I don't like it. I really don't like it. So let's move on to the next one. The next one is another one that may rival Toradora. In fact, I have heard rumors, at least I haven't confirmed this, you can confirm it if you want, that it's the same production people, I believe, or at least somebody who was involved with Toradora is also involved in this. And it's called Golden Time. And the reason I'm mentioning Toradora is that sometimes when watching this, I could actually see parts of Toradora in it. Like the main female, the love interest female, sometimes looks like an older, more developed Taiga. And it's like, oh, I actually see it there. Oh my god. But yeah, this one, I was a bit iffy about watching this due to the premise that I had read that the dude has amnesia. And then, like, he was in an accident in high school, lost his memory to that point, and kept on going. He finds himself in a law school, although the school doesn't matter. This is college, by the way. So it's at least not high school, but it's still a school setting. So it's me. Oh, also, the last anime that I was mentioning, it's a high school, so bleh. But Golden Time is a college, so that's at least something a bit better. So they're more adult about how they handle it. So, he's going to college. He's getting knowledge. He wanted to go there. And there's additional things to why he wanted to go there, but that's explained throughout the story. And I don't really want to spoil that here because I actually really like Golden Time. Again, this is another anime that is giving Toradora a run for its money. Again, I'm not sure if it beats Toradora, but it's damn close, if anything. Because remember, I really like Toradora a lot, despite the whole high school and high school kids thing. I still feel the characters and the emotional story is just great. This is also very good. Very, very good. Like, the whole amnesia thing, it does become something. It does matter, but it's not overwhelming at first. It doesn't start shoveling that into your throat until you're, invested. It gets you invested and then starts to mess with that thing. Because that thing was a bit of a turnoff for me. I was worried that it was going to cause problems. But, thankfully, they skillfully carried the story and made it so that it didn't feel bad. And, again, there's a very emotional ending to this. And, again, this is one of the only anime that have actually made me shed tears. I have cried to this one. Toradora being one of the only other ones. So far, Golden Time and Toradora are the only ones that have actually made me cry. But a lot of these I do get invested in, and I'm all excited when happiness happens, and I'm like, yeah! But these two, Toradora and Golden Time, have actually made me shed tears. The next anime I'm going to talk about, Say I Love You. It's a short one. It's pretty heavy romance. It's decent, I gotta say. But because it's heavy romance, it feels very stressful watching it. I felt stressed watching it. I didn't feel good watching this one. Because it just seems to constantly always be problems. And it just doesn't feel that well or good. I mean, if you want to have just romance and not too much comedy, this one gets it pretty quickly. It's sort of like My Love Story in that way. The characters do establish themselves together pretty damn quickly in this. And that's another good thing. That's actually something in Golden Time too. They established very quickly in that one too. Which is probably another reason why I like Golden Time. Because establishing very quickly is a great thing. Because a lot of these, it takes forever for them to actually get established together. And that's super annoying. But yeah, Say I Love You is pretty heavily romance. Unpopular girl gets together with popular boy. And so on and so forth. People are jealous. People are angry. Conflicts ensue. People try to steal them away. So much and so forth. It's pretty stereotypical. It's not the best. It's not the worst. I'm a bit indifferent to it. So it's not something I would really recommend unless you really want something that's romance heavy. And there's not... I don't even think I even saw a moment of fan service in this one. So again, if fan service does irritate you to a high degree, maybe give this one a better shot. Alright, moving on. The next one. It's a bit of a long one. I think it has 30-something episodes. It has a lot of episodes. It's called Kimi ni Todoki, From Me to You. This one's a bit of a longer... again, it has 30-something episodes. But it takes so damn long. This one's a slugfest. I'm not saying it's bad. But it does take some time. Because they spend the first 25 episodes of this season setting stuff up. Nothing comes of it. And again, that really irritates me when you take 25 episodes and you set up all these moments that would be perfect for something to happen and then you don't capitalize on it. Like this is basically a huge amount of like irritation. Just it takes forever for it to get anywhere, but it does go somewhere at least. It does get there, which is good. It actually gets somewhere. But again, this isn't really my favorite anime. I liked it. I did like it. So it is in the chart of being something that you could probably watch. And I would definitely say still feel good about. But it lags. It lags. It definitely lags. It takes a long time. And it's mostly because they constantly second guess their decisions, constantly misunderstand each other. And it's pretty much, again, it's a really, this one's old. This one is old. So it makes sense. It was before this was really an established premise within rom-com. So it just takes a long time to get going. But it's still good. I still think it's good. Main characters are good. Story's good. It's a bit of a funny... It's very funny, actually. It's really funny because the main girl looks like the girl from The Ring, and that's the whole hook, is that she looks super creepy and freaks people out because of it. The main guy is pretty nice. He's a nice guy. He's just a genuinely nice guy, and that's about it. Not much to say about that one. Now the next one, I do like. It is called Love, Chernobyl, and Other Delusions. This has 2 seasons on Netflix. Both seasons are for some reason divided weirdly. I don't really know why they're divided the way they are, but yeah. Basically, you all remember when you used to be kids and you would basically play around fantasy like, ho ho, I shall defeat you with my ultimate dark beam attack. That sort of stuff. Well, it's about a couple of high school kids that still do that. And, I mean, it's pretty alright. It's pretty good. And eventually, in the first season too, in the first season, they actually get together. So, that's good. It doesn't really waste your time. They actually do get together. And then, from then on, second season is about their relationship together and what exactly that means for them, since they're also, you know, weirdos who like to fantasize. I really like this one. This one's nice. This one feels nice to watch. And it's not really heavy. The emotional trauma or drama, I guess, in it is pretty mild. Nobody feels, it doesn't really feel that bad because the issues do resolve themselves pretty quickly. These guys are pretty lighthearted, so they don't stand on any issues for too long. There's a lot of embarrassment and kind of cringe, but I don't really have a problem with that sort of thing in this because it's all in good fun. They're just having fun. It's no big deal. They can differentiate. They're not completely out of their minds. They can tell the difference between reality and fantasy. They just like to have fun. And that's good. That's good. I'm in full support of that. Just have fun. Just have some fun. Just don't forget what reality is. But yeah, I really like this one. Definitely would recommend it because it's silly. It's silly and fun. It's lighthearted. It's great. It's still a rom-com, so there's still romance in it. And it has some good morals behind it. The first season has its own good moral. The second season has its own good moral. And I feel it's just an all-around good show. It's good. Just, like, it's not crazy in any regards besides, you know, they're all a bit fun. They're just a bunch of kids having some fun. And I like that. It's pretty nice, considering how all these other ones are really dramatic. Anyways, on to the next one, at least on my list. I actually just finished watching this one, and this is another one that I really enjoy and put up really high on the pedestal next to Toradora. It's Ano Natsu de Mitiryu. God, I slaughtered these Japanese names. But, okay. So this one starts off, I'm just going to straight up start off because we all know it at the very start because it's established in the very first episode. Girl is an alien. Straight up outer space alien comes to Earth. Again, she's humanoid, very humanoid, pretty much Homo sapien. Again, people don't really take a lot of risks in that regard. They make everybody human, even though they're from outer space and not really human. But yeah, so it's established she's an alien straight off the bat, and we know that. And It's pretty much covered, and it's a slow. Well, it's not even that slow. It's a. How many episodes was in this one? 12. There were 12 episodes in this, so it's actually pretty damn quick. And they do actually establish the couple pretty quickly, too. And, there was actually a big, long chain of who loved who. This one girl loves this guy, but this guy loves this girl. This girl loves the main guy. This main guy loves the main girl. So on and so forth. Big, long love chain. And it eventually breaks down once they actually become a couple. Everybody starts establishing, but nobody really hates each other. So, it goes well. It goes well. Does have a bit of a sad ending, but then becomes a happy ending if you watch through the credits, just like Toradora. So it's like, of course, the ending for this one is a bit more. You have to pay attention to the last episode to really get it, because it's not like Toradora where you see them both standing in the same room at the same time at the very end. So you just have to really understand what's going on. You have to see it and then be like, oh, so that's going on. Okay, cool. I really like this one. This one's really nice. It's short and it goes to the point really quickly. It's great. Next thing I'm going to talk about, anime I super enjoy, but doesn't end up having them get together, or any of them, because it's a 2-girl, 1-guy. Both the girls like the guy, and the guy's a bit indecisive. We pretty much know who he likes, but yeah. But it's called My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu. So this one is the guy, the main character that we established with, basically got burned when he was in middle school with romance, and then he becomes a super cynical, like hyper analytical dude. He hyper analyzes everything, and he's always got this cynicism to him. So the teacher that's in charge of him forces him into a club, and that's where we meet main girl 1, who also is pretty cynical and pretty hyper analytical, but she's a part of a club called the Service Club, and the Service Club's purpose is to serve people and help them and build them up and make them grow and all that kind of stuff. Just all kinds of positivity. They help second girl, and then she joins the club. And then they continue to go on from there. The dude has a bit of a brutal way of handling things. Not like violent, just brutal. He's very brutal. And I find that word to be very apt to describe him. He's not violent. He's never done anything that would indicate violence, but he doesn't hold back. He will slaughter you with words, and he does not care. Of course, the story progresses, and that does change. But this is like I believe there's 2 seasons, 13 episodes each. And it does, he slowly does develop. There is development with these characters. It does progress to somewhere, but it doesn't progress all the way to him saying I love you, or them saying I love you at all like that. But it does progress to him wanting to be more emotional, wanting to have his emotions and stuff like that. But this doesn't end in a way where everybody's like, oh, I love you so much, and I love you so much. And I don't think it's supposed to. And I think that's all right. I still think this is a good one, and you should watch it. But don't expect it to end like any of the others I've talked about. It doesn't. I really hope that they do something more with this one. But again, this one's, there's been no reports or anything. I do check these ones to see if anything comes up. If I really enjoy it, I check it, which is why I checked for ReZero, because I really liked ReZero. But yeah, I don't see anything additional with this one coming down the pipeline, so it's pretty much at its end. And I think it's at its, the reason this one was at its end is because it caught up too quickly to the light novel it's based on. I'm pretty sure that the light novel, the next chapter at least, is out. So if you do find yourself that compelled, you can look it up that way. And the last one I'm going to talk about is another one that I hold in really high regard. It is The Pet Girl of Sakura Soru, which I think is Sakura Hall or something in Japanese, I guess. So this one starts off with a guy, he has a pet cat, not allowed to live in normal dorms because of said pet cat, so he gets forced into the Sakura Hall, which is apparently a place where a bunch of people who have, all kinds of personality flaws and stuff like that hang out with or go to, because the principal doesn't want to deal with them, so yada yada, throw them in the corner. It starts off kind of fan servicey, but turns into a really good story with really good characters that you get emotionally invested in and you care about all of them. And they all get endings that are suitable. This doesn't end where you're wondering, well, what happens here or what happens here. It actually feels good the way this ends. I actually felt like, oh, I like how this ended. I don't actually feel a huge need for this to go any further. I like where it ended. Even if there's more to it, I still liked how this ended. And the basic premise is, dude's kind of the only competent one or completely sane one in the group. So, he has to bounce off the whole dynamic. So the niece or cousin of the teacher that runs the joint comes in. She's from Europe. So I guess she's European, but I mean, she speaks Japanese so damn fluently and has no issues in that regard. That's another suspension of disbelief that you have to get over with a lot of these shows where somebody comes from somewhere else and then they can understand the language completely perfectly. But yeah, so she's apparently a world-class artist, like insanely good, and she wants to draw manga. Okay, cool. But she's apparently incompetent in every other way. She can't even dress herself properly or cook her own food or anything like that. So, shenanigans ensue, emotions start developing, she starts to improve and develop same emotions, so on and so forth. And there's a bit of a love triangle because there is another girl who does join the dorm at some point who really likes the main guy as well. So that continues on and on and on and on. I really like this one. This is a good one. I definitely recommend watching this one too. This is upper echelons again. Like, I think I said like 5 of these are really good. 2 of them are okay. And then one I really did not like. And then 2 I was indifferent to. There were 2. There was one that had like no romance and one that had like no comedy to it. And those 2 I were indifferent to. And then the one I really hated was the one that felt like it was just a huge cash grab towards a target young demographic that just wanted to see boobies. Like, it really felt like that, so I didn't like that one pretty much at all. Yep, but that's all the anime I've watched so far. If you got any good anime, and rest assured, like, I want something that has emotion to it, and it carries weight. If there's a bit of fan service, but it turns into something good, definitely still tell me about it, because I can deal with that. If it turns into something good, I can deal with that. But, yeah, also, don't suggest Real Life. I'm going to be checking that one out next. That is on my list. Of course, it was one that I also have a concept with. I don't like the idea of popping a pill and turning back into a kid. Like, I don't like that concept. But since I gave Golden Time the time of day, even though I didn't like the whole amnesia concept, I should probably give this one also the time of day and see if it also has a strong enough story to carry past something that I didn't initially like. Anyways, be sure to tell me some good animes if you have any, and like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed. I'll see y'all next time.